Good morning, Ultra Engineers. Today we have a special episode of Weekend Workshop, and we're going to talk about the week's progress and some more level design progress we've made. We're getting into a lot more depth now, and preparing for the upcoming release of 098 in December. That's going to feature a really good tessellation, as well as the new material painting feature that we found was absolutely necessary in order to make something that in order to just make levels that look good. We found it was essential. So let's get to it. So this week, here's the changes I made. Environment probe textures are now stored in sRGB color space. I noticed there was some color precision issues that we saw in some of the reflections and the diffuse lighting, so that actually looks a lot better. You'll just need to recalculate the GI calculations on your existing maps, but it'll work just fine as long as you have the current shaders. We now have a per scene setting for the GI transmission level, and this just this gives you control over how strongly the light bounces. When GI is calculated, it renders the scene in 3 passes. First, it disables all the environment probes because they don't have any, at that point, they don't have any valid data for the reflection, and it renders just the scene with black shadows. And then it renders another pass using the environment probes from that, and then it renders a third pass. And when you have those three passes like that, it simulates light bouncing around pretty well. But the GI transmission level, that controls how much the light, how strongly the light bounce effect is. So you can use that to get that's a much better way to control the look of things rather than trying to adjust the color of each probe after the fact. I reduced the size of the specular and diffuse probe textures by half. I couldn't really tell any difference when I looked at the reflections, but it does reduce the scene file size significantly, and we had 5 bug fixes. Most of this week was actually spent doing something I haven't gotten to do in quite a long time, modeling. So here's a couple of props made by Reap Blue. Or I don't know if you made these from scratch or if these were just resuscitated.
Those models were taken from a Blender repo. I just painted the textures in Armor Paint.
Okay.
But I did make other models too.
Yeah, and we'll have some other things in some of the screenshots as well. Taking we can save time by taking models from Sketchfab or wherever and resuscitating them, as long as they're released under the right licenses and as long as we keep track of that, then that's, if that will save us time, then I'm all for that. We got back the first painted model from Andy, which it looks fantastic. This is we use this a lot. We'll get to that. I got to do some modeling, which I haven't gotten to do in a long time. But I like making pipes. I like making modular pieces. So I actually made a lot of stuff last week. The pipes, let's see. I got a full set of pipes, and then I had to go back and do them again because I actually found this radius here. The radius of the pipe doesn't matter that much. It's actually not that important. It can be any arbitrary value. But this radius here, the turn radius here, is really, really important because once you start lining these up in the level, if that turn radius is a nice big power of 2 number, then it's easy. You don't have to subdivide the grid very many times to get everything to line up perfectly. So my first pass, the pipes were about a third smaller than this, I think, or maybe these are the originals. I'm not sure, but this radius was 24 centimeters or something like that, and so you had to make the grid really small just to line things up. Once you start making them putting them around the scene in interesting configuration. So I went back and did them again, and now they're done. I even got to do some hanging tube thingies. After painting, I might take this corner piece and move the vertices down a little bit to make it saggy like this, and I made this rack for these things to hang off of. This was actually really easy. I just took a straight piece, and then I selected some vertices and pushed them downwards a little bit, and then rotate it. You also want to rotate the vertices so that it doesn't just look shifted, so it looks like it's actually like it has like a constant radius. But it doesn't have to be exact. I also I did a new set of chain link fence pieces, modular pieces, and I went into quite a lot of detail. These pieces I did the bolt going around here, like I guess the nut going around it, and then the bolt in there. I even did that. I got pretty intricate with all of these pieces. I was going off of engineering schematics. You got that hinge there, this opening piece here. And what I found was you can't actually see this stuff unless you're in VR. Like from first person view, you can't actually, it just looks like kind of like a blob. And like you can't even see, I mean, you can see in this screenshot these nice pieces I added here. You can't even see them when you're running around in first person shooter mode. You can barely see these hinges, all these little details. You can barely see them. So I actually went back and did it again using my original models from Leadworks as a guide, and then I just made a more a higher poly version of that, and that actually looks better in game, even though it's not realistic proportions necessarily. Here's what some of the pipes look like when they're placed in the scene. I don't know if we showed this. I don't remember if we showed this last week. Yeah, it was probably last week because the decal's red. But I really like this kind of stuff because it meshes with the level. You don't want your levels to look like a box room with a bunch of props just placed in them like a prop showcase. You want things to like look like they're part of the scene, and I think pipes are a really good way to do that. Here's a shot of the painted tunnel with a flat car inside. We've got this wood pallet and boxes that were made by Reap Blue. Some untextured pipes on the sides. I took these wires from an existing model that I found on Sketchfab, and that was released under CC attribution, and I just resized them and pasted them into this. There's nothing very special about them, but it just saved me a lot of time not having to adjust all the little bends. But they're really just cylinders with a few subdivisions, but they look really, really good. I made the track pieces. Here's we completely replaced the big kind of passenger train area. Reap Blue he said, you know what? I've got an idea for something I want to do. I'm just going to try it. And I said, okay. I figured it would look cool, and it did. So he kind of replaced it with this area. You can't see it so much in this shot, but the roof is more rounded. I think the lesson here is you don't have a lot of opportunities to make things rounded. So when you do, you shouldn't turn down one of those opportunities. If you can make something rounded reasonably, then you should, because it'll just automatically kind of bump the user's perspective of your level design up a little bit. These shadows look very nice going through the chain link fence. That's an old trick, but it works. It still works really, really well. Here's another shot. I found this gantry crane, and I added it over the train, and then I thought, well, maybe this is maybe we'll add some girders here. These are just a placeholder in order to get the size right. I'm gonna go back and replace this with some girder work that's a little bit more intricate. You can see the tunnel looks really good with the lights going all down the tunnel. We can use as many lights as we want, pretty much. We have about 40 lights in this scene so far, and it seems to be no problem at all. here's a scene with some wires and pipes going down the hallway. This is sort of what I want. I want to put those hanging like saggy pipes on the other side here. But we were looking at the floor and we were like, okay, so like the ceiling, this is going to be, once this is painted, I'm going to like move some vertices around and make this more like it looks like dented, so it's not just perfectly horizontal. But we were looking at the floor and we were like, I think we were talking about this last week and we're like, what do we do with this floor? It just looks, I mean, the painting looks good, but it looks very plain. And if we could put some pieces of wood and stuff on it, but it just, it kind of stands out. I wanted something where there was a lot of detail to it, but it was kind of indistinguishable. And we were having a lot of trouble with that. But I found this. I found a material by PBRPX. It's actually uploaded in our download system already. And I created a whole section in the materials category for debris. And when you use this with tessellation, it looks fantastic. This is like exactly what I wanted because it's very detailed, but the details are sort of indistinct. It merges with the floor very, very well. I really like this look. You've got like the shiny concrete and then you've got the dirt. And then only inside the dirt in some areas you've got this like concrete debris stuff. If you look at the material, there's like bricks and chunks of concrete and like geometric shapes. It looks really, really cool. This is exactly what I wanted. So I was so happy to find this. And I actually thought about we were talking a little bit about the materials on the walls here. I just threw these up because I wanted to. Didn't really pick. I just used the first thing that I found. I wasn't really like searching for the right material, but it's actually pretty realistic to have brick and plaster and tile on one surface. Like I've seen a lot of stuff like this in Europe, where they just like things get modeled and remodeled like over hundreds of years. And I mean, the way the tile is blending is not necessarily very realistic, but having a surface made up of 3 different layers like this actually is pretty realistic. So I think this might actually be fine to use. Again,
blending, right?
What's that?
Like how we just got to fix how it's blended all together, right? Because right now it doesn't look right. When you look at it like in Fulbright, it just looks very. So I think we have to have the brick as the base material, and then paint the plaster, and then paint the tiles on top of it.
Oh, I think the plaster is part of the brick material, actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too concerned. I mean, in real life, like the entire tile would either be there or not. It wouldn't be like smoothly blending, but
yeah,
I actually think it's okay. And this is gonna have like, it's gonna look more like this.
Right.
On this side, probably some more stuff over here. So some lessons that we learned. In first-person view, details smaller than a couple of inches aren't really visible, so don't bother. It's actually, like, once you get down to a small scale, it's actually better to make things sort of cartoonish, because you just want them to be clearly visible. If you have a lot of really intricate small details, unless it's right at eye level, they're just hard to see and it doesn't really look like anything. So at that level, you kind of want to just let the texture details take over.
Yeah, if you actually have if your texture detail is actually too like diverse in terms of color values at very small resolutions on screen, eventually like it's gonna start sampling between 2 pixels of the texture, almost at random.
Well, isn't that what bitmaps are for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the engine have bitmaps?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Never mind.
Let's see. So when using so this was another thing. So in these areas, the areas for humans, which is here. Let's see if we have another here. We didn't have to do much with the lights here. There's a little bit of an orange tint, but it's not very much. And it just looks so good because the especially this tile, and we have a lot of variations in the roughness. This looks so good. When you have these shiny areas, you don't have to do much with the lights. I found when we got to the stuff that was where it's for it's no longer for humans. This area is for machines, and so it doesn't make sense to spend money on tile because that's to make things comfortable for humans. This is for machines. And in this area, since we had a lot more rough surfaces, we didn't really have a lot of shiny stuff. At that point, it became more important to have deeply tinted lights because if you just make this a white light, it looks boring. Because there's nothing like, so I guess there's like two looks you should maybe try to go for. One is like deep tinted colors, and the other is shiny materials. I found that was just something that I learned that looked pretty good.
Yeah, we got to revamp the first room. That room was a real we were just throwing things at the wall and seeing what worked. But that room now, in comparison to like this hallway and the other in the tunnel area, it just looks so out of place. So I think that needs to be reworked.
I don't know if we have a lot of time, but I think it looks okay. It just needs it. We'll just like once we get some pipes and stuff in there, I think it'll be fine.
I think here the orange light looks really, really good because it's only one, but I think the lighting just needs to be adjusted.
Okay, we can try it. Let's see. I also found that I think dirty industrial environments are by far the easiest way to make something that looks visually impressive. I have the most experience probably with this style, but I mean it's just a lot easier to make something like this. This looks good. If we were making some kind of clean space that was well lit, and it just makes it, even if we do a good job, like it's the results are just going to look kind of meh. It's not going to have that like a little, I don't know, that little like bit of a wow factor. And it's not anything to do with technology, and it's not anything to do with even with like our modeling techniques or anything. It's just like basic, like if you think of it more like film, you're trying to make like a dramatic looking movie, you do something like this with really dramatic lighting. So it's more of an artistic thing, and that doesn't really change. Technology changes, but those techniques don't really change.
I just want to go back and talk about the lighting stuff. It's also up to the kind of style you're going for how you want to feel the environment. So color theory goes into a lot here.
Yeah.
So if you have for example, you have a very cold storage area, you would want to use cooler colors and lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Or in other areas where it's warmer, such as here, it would probably be quite a bit more heat. You give it a warmth sort of intensity.
Yeah. There's this. We have right now. I'm seeing we have some areas that are a little bit too dark, and we have others that are too bright right now. I would argue that the tunnel is a little bit too dark, but that could be because my mind was very saturated. It's more accurate than the garbage miners I was using. So.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mirror's Edge has that style of clean-ish environment somewhat. Then you have Portal, and I think there's a few others. But
also if it's really dark, we can hide the painting imperfections a little bit better, which also helps. But I think we need. Maybe we should try playing with the light bouncing a little bit more, because I think it's not bouncing as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the high contrast lighting, but I also like when I put this crane in, I found that like I couldn't even see it until I took a spotlight and aimed it up at the ceiling.
Yeah, I actually like the spotlights. I can model something, or we can look at something where we get like those work lights, and we
Yeah.
can try to aim it at the ceiling. So if we
Yeah,
make
that's
that
what I
look
was
good-
thinking. Then we can just put a light where we want it.
Yeah. So again, we just got to play with it because right now it's a little bit too dark for gameplay, even with a flashlight. I was playing Half-Life 2 the other day, and there was just some areas where it was just so dark I had to put on that full bright to see where I was going, and I kind of don't want that to be the case here.
Okay.
Anyone thought about adding fog so that the details is not as important as a clear entryway, so that the light could be more spectacle and it would be understandable because of the fog in the area?
We have a little bit of fog. You can see it in the distance here. Rape added a greenish tint, which I think looks pretty good, but it's not very. It's pretty subtle.
Yeah, I think when you add too much fog, it kind of like puts like a film over the entire thing, kind of. So,
But wouldn't that save on memory and using of the details by having a foggy, not crystal clear image? That like you're walking through an actual corridor that is foggy with the whatever mobs that you would be facing or enemies would be in the shadows, etc., and coming up close in order to see the actual image you want them to see.
You could you could use that to decrease the camera range, but
Just
so
what
far
Silent
like
Hill does,
what's that?
which is something that Silent Hill does a lot. That's why there's a lot of fog in Silent Hill, because they were trying to prevent
Oh.
problems.
We haven't really had a problem with it in this scene though. Like performance has been quite good. We're consistently, I think at all times, we're under 200,000 polygons right now with no LODs.
yeah,
So
I think, yeah.
we're actually doing quite good. I was a little bit worried about this tunnel, but because we use this, I mean, we use this like 10 times probably, and like I think the tunnel is about, what is the tunnel, like 3,000 polygons, and then the tubes are probably another 3,000.
Oh, and then also, it's not in this screenshot, but we also add lights to it, and
A lot of lights.
Oh yeah, we used a lot. We used a
Yeah.
lot of lights. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean this tunnel is probably about 100,000 polygons, like total both ways.
I
But
don't know if you saw Reap that they added radio fog to Half-Life 2.
Yeah, I saw.
yeah, but it's we've had good results with that.
Yeah.
And I'll just, people probably know that, most people probably know this, but this will all be available to you to use. This is the first person shooter example.
Yeah. It's not gonna be as like component heavy as what we were planning, but I think this will be enough to like show you that yes, you can actually make a game with the tools available.
And
Yeah.
over time, we can update it anyway, so.
Well, you can update it, or another thing we can do is like other packs where it actually like, teaches you how to use components and everything. And right now, we just want something that looks good, and and it's something for everyone to, some props and materials and scenes to get people started, because a lot of people come from Unity and Unreal where they don't have CSG tools like this, so they're still in that like model like mindset, art flow, where they have to model like everything. But
Yeah, in 098, it's like CSG on crack.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm total, like, after this experience, I'm totally believe that, like, at some time next year, the level design tools in Ultra are going to become, it's going to make it into a better mid-poly modeler than, like, 3ds Max or Blender.
right.
What I want to do is make, like, basically, like, takes the CSG objects, but relax some of the requirements on them so that they don't actually have to be convex holes. So then you can have something like this made out of CS, quote unquote CSG, and have like bend modifiers, plus combined with the painting. So you can somebody was talking about like having like little patches of terrain here and there. Being able to do that with these would be really great. So I think the sky's the limit on that stuff. I think it's going to be really fantastic.
Yeah, and those like props that like just fill in spaces not really important. Just, like the pipes and the crates and the paint bucket. I didn't paint the paint bucket yet.
I think we have one thing that's missing, and I think that is like ventilation area.
Yeah. We do have events in the first room, but we don't have like event cover.
Like, well, yeah, we have no, like, even with a simple, like, overhead of just a big grate above would probably be okay.
Well, we have, like, a vent, like, tunnel texture that I did the normal on months ago. Maybe we can work that into the other room, but we have it in the first room. But you can't really see it because it's in the thing, but...
Yeah, I actually made this the main subway thing here. This is actually just... this ceiling piece, which I made in Ultra. I made this just by moving vertices around, and then I exported it as a GLTF. And then to make the subway piece, I just took 3 of those and I wrapped them around at 90 degrees, or I guess 45 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees each. So if we just had a bend modifier with those additions I was talking about, then we could do that real easy in our editor.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you could turn on the polygon count for what the current frame is?
Yeah, we have the engine has commands for collecting stats on rendering and other stuff. I was actually thinking about writing an extension in the editor where it would show the all the rendering statistics for like the last viewport that was rendered. That would be really useful, I think.
Yeah, I figure if you're trying to stay within a certain polygon budget, like I heard 200,000. Yeah, that would be kind of nice when you've got a few things there and you want to see where you're currently at for a given environment.
Yeah, we could really use that. And I think we could. I think it would be. I'm going very conservative with the polygon count, because what we found is a lot of people are still using the same hardware they were using like 5 years ago. But if we could go a lot higher with the polygon count, especially if we were using LODs. Like, I think if we kept it under like 2 million, I think it would be fine. So like some of the models we've been like turning our nose up at, 50,000 polygon train cars, we could actually use those, I think, safely, if we just had a couple of LOD levels, because I haven't. Yeah. I mean, we've kept this under control very well, and like I said, like you can't really see things below a certain size, and so I think the lesson here is it's a very cool, exciting time, because you can use as many vertices as you need without any fear. Like, your models can be as detailed as they need to for any kind of a first-person game.
So if I can ask, so for something like VR, like if you're using like a Quest 2, what would be a conservative budget not to go over?
For a Quest 2, that's different, because you're talking about native, not rendered on the PC.
Oh, sorry, no. I guess then it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it matters, but
I'd say for mid-range hardware, I'd say like below 1 million, you're perfectly safe.
Yeah, but regardless, I do agree we need better profiling tools in the engine, even if it's just an extension. So we can.
Yeah, and I'm talking like, very, very conservative. I'd say like let's see what like a. So people that have there's like kind of three kinds of cards I really see people with. There's like today's mid range, which is like a 3060 Nvidia. A little bit lower than that, I think, is an AMD 6600, which is actually a really, really good card. I've been relying. I just bought that as a test card, but I've been using it a lot. And then you go lower than that, and you have like something like the high end from yesterday, from a few years ago, which is like a GeForce 1080, which is a bit, I'd say like maybe 50 or 30% slower than today's mid range. And then I guess the really like low end is like yesterday's mid range, which would be like a 1060. By yesterday, I mean like 6 years ago.
Yeah. I guess like for my mindset, like I spent a fair bit of time on Second Life, and when you're making assets for that, they really got to be slim. You're very, very conscious of keeping a very low polygon budget, but I mean that's just because of the history and the baggage associated with that particular platform. So I mean it's I think I like to think it's done me a service as a modeler, because it's like if I see something like 20,000 polygons, I'm like, holy shit, what am I doing here? So I go back and like if it's under like 5,000 for like just a one piece asset, like then I'm happy. But the minute I go over like 10,000, it's like, wow, this is high. But I know that cards can crank out millions and millions.
Yeah, I'd say like my general rule of thumb is like try to keep each object under 10,000 and try to keep each room under 100,000. But if you're okay with, if you're just targeting today's mid range, you're safe going much higher than that. So I guess
a really good example. I mean, that's been quite a long time ago, but with Nathan Drake, like it's only a single one-off model, but I believe, if I recall, it's like 31,000 triangles.
Oh, what is it?
So,
What is the model?
Nathan Drake himself.
Who is that? I don't know this person.
It's from the Uncharted series.
So that's like the main character?
That's the main model for the player, yeah, the main character.
And it's like a third person?
30,000 triangles.
It's a third person?
It's third person. Third person.
That sounds, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're definitely...
It's a one-off model, and
yeah,
you're going to be close to the model at all times, so... But then we had to understand, they couldn't go really crazy with the environment too bad, because they already had a 30,000 triangle model that's there pretty much all the time. So
yeah, and it's also rigged for facial animations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, what year was that game released?
Let's see, which one was it? Was it Uncharted 3 that did it 30,000? I don't remember.
That's something you got to...
2011 or so, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So PS4 era.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like, we're firmly... If you're targeting today's mid-range cards, we're firmly in the mid-poly range now. Like, it's perfectly fine to go higher. And number of... we have I don't know how many... It would be interesting to know how many... individual objects we have in this scene, but Ultra will handle like many objects extremely well. That was actually the biggest bottleneck that Leadworks had.
Well, we have a lot of objects in the scene, but all the same model, because we only have like a few models. So,
yeah, well, I mean, you're also bashing them, so
yeah.
No, but like, I mean, whether they're batched or not makes very little difference.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, we all have the same material, so.
Yeah. I was.
No, I'm saying like using, like, they could all have unique materials, and it would probably make no difference at all in Ultra because of the way it's architected.
I'm more happy that we can use lights without a care in the world, because in Leadworks that was a pain in the ass. We had to worry about how big they were, and then if they were too big, they called shadow banding, so you had to count for that. And now it's just like, oh, I'm gonna have 500 spotlights in this tunnel. Okay.
Actually, the performance of Leadworks and Lights, that was something that was, it was actually like closer to Ultra than anything else that I tested.
Lights are cheap. It's the shadows. Even if you set the static, it dipped the frame rate. And I know. I mean, probably today's mid range, like, it's fine. But I was developing on a 1050, and
Oh,
yeah. So shadows, like lights not having shadows, it was fine. But if you even static shadows, it was a problem.
Oh, that reminds me of the fact. Did you figure out that problem where it lowered down the frame rate with a static checked light?
there's something going on perhaps, but I need to investigate. I just found something last night, but I don't want to say anything about it until I've had time to investigate it. I'll have something to say about that.
Yeah, and this scene actually helps find all those little things. So
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's something weird going on in here, and that's actually something I'm going to investigate this weekend.
okay.
But so, like I said, we've got about 2 weeks to finish this. It like to have an initial version out. So now, Andy, we didn't have anything for him for a long time, for like several months, and now we've got a ton of models that are ready to be textured. So he'll probably be very busy with that, and he's doing a great job so far from what we've seen, and we definitely appreciate
Yeah, and
his
I
help
think
there.
any like small props I think we need, I can just go in Armor Paint real quick, and it doesn't really matter if it's like good or not. You just like those crates, they're fine. Like,
Yeah, I think we need to start saying that a lot. It's fine.
Yeah.
When we talk about the textures, I created some more versions of the pipes in different colors, so we could make one red and one yellow, for example, and another bare metal.
Awesome.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make it also easier to make it more interesting.
Will that mean we're getting skins, or we're gonna duplicate the models?
Let's just duplicate the models right now. I don't want to add any new features before.
It's just duplicated the model.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that we should discuss is what we found is I think a while back, like you said, that when you're doing these, you oftentimes like the deliverable is just the textures. You don't export the models. I think in the
Substance.
what's that?
No.
Substance is not exporting the model. I create in Substance the textures
Oh, okay.
and combine then the textures with the model in some 3D software like Blender or 3D Max.
Okay. I think in the future, like for the purpose of this project for the next until December 9th, let's not change anything because that'll just cause more problems. But in the future, I think it would work better if we have these models UV mapped, and then we can start and finished and untextured, and then we can start placing them in the scene, and then when you're ready, we just update the texture. I think that'll eliminate like a major, because right now, like, we don't have any pipes in the scene and we can't use them because, why bother? Because it looks like
Yeah, those fences are
The pipes, I can send you tomorrow the pipes. It's now in the evening, but I can send them tomorrow. They are close to be done.
that'd be great. I'm just saying this is a way that we can probably improve our workflow in the future. Like, this is something we should consider.
Not to sound like a jerk, but I recall bringing this up when we first started, where I say I wanted models UV'd, and I just have like an AO or something to it. It doesn't have to have the AO, but how I did models for Cyclone, that was my process. I just wanted the models done UV'd, and then I just baked an AO map so they had something on it, and then later on I went in and textured them. So.
What a
But
jerk.
I told you so.
Yeah. So are there, okay, Andy, do you think there's any special, like, I mean, if we just I don't know. Maybe we should have. It would be nice if we had UV unwrapping in the editor itself, because then we could just open this up, press a button and unwrap it, and then say export the model as a GLTF for painting.
Anthony was looking at the X Atlas library.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it uses parametric UV unwrapping. So
what does that mean?
You can read stuff on it. I'll send you some stuff if you want to later. I'm not going to explain it.
Oh, okay. Well, you said that like it was. I don't know what parametric UV unwrapping is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were really if we really had to, like, I could write UV unwrapping myself. I mean, I've done that with light maps before. I just don't know if my packing would be super efficient. But like, it's too late to worry about that right now. But in the future, we might want to like revisit that and change our process a little bit.
Yeah, I think for the garbage prompt, I just did smart unwrapping Blender and it was like good enough, and it's exercise work.
I mean, do you think that would work, Andy, or do you think like are there any more like special like UV requirements to make this work well with Substance?
Well, I mean, this smart UV unwrap, at least from Blender, I mean, it would.
Is Andy still here? Yeah. Andy, what is your opinion? I think you went to you had to go to the store.
I'm here.
Oh, and Andy, what is your opinion about, like, I mean, because you're doing the UV unwrapping yourself right now. Are there any special requirements for UV unwrapping, or if it's unwrapped, is it just fine?
Well, I press 2 buttons in the software and it's unwrapped by AI. So.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, if I implement like X Atlas or whatever in our editor, as long as it's just unwrapped, will that work just as well?
You mean if you have already an unwrapped model?
Yeah, or is there something like, or is yours like significantly better, or does it work better with Substance?
I think it depends. So I don't.
It really depends on the model, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, I can show it to you. Maybe I think it's better than to explain it.
Okay.
It largely depends on like how you're going to try and optimize the model. So like, let's say you have a mirrored model with like I don't know, you're making a pipe and you want the bolts on the pipe to not take up 8 little islands of texel density when they're all just the same bolt. So you'll want them to be the same overlapping UV island to save up on texel density, so that you can get more detail in the rest of the mesh by just duplicating the texture information.
Oh yeah. Actually, I have an example of that.
And then there's sometimes you want 2 models to share the same texture. I did that a lot in Cyclone, where like the button model, it was 2 separate models, but they shared the same sheet. But that's more manual, and I don't think you can automate that really.
Yeah, we actually could have saved. We could have saved. So this is using a 2048 by 2048 texture, and we could have gotten higher density if we had just made this one piece that was like 90 degrees, and then took and copied three of them to make this pipe. But it's fine. It's fine for now. But that's just like.
I did have that working so that it was all the same UV map for in the preview tool I was working. So.
Yeah.
Is there support for more than one UV channel?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good thing, because I'm not going to speak for Andy, but
it's fish.
Something that yeah, you don't. So one thing when you're modeling, it's sometimes you might have, if there's support for multiple channels, that's good. But if there's only one channel and you try to unwrap it in the editor, when the person that's going to be doing the texture painting, sometimes what they'll do is they'll have all their different source textures. They'll break up the model in different pieces and then bake that all out with 2 different UV maps.
You mean UDMs?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the terminology is.
It's UDEEM. It's more. I posted it like 2 or 3 times before. Is you have more UV texture sets. But I create here something.
Well, I mean, the thing is, not a lot of engines actually support multiple UV maps.
Well, when that stuff gets exported to GLTF, I think it just gets exported into a standard, like it's just a normal GLTF. I think it's just a modeling technique. Like it's just a technique to break up the material to make it more easy to work with.
Right. I guess what I was getting at is if there's only one channel and you unwrap it, he or whoever might have to destroy the unwrapping anyway when they use different source textures on the model.
You're watching?
Yeah, we're all watching.
Basically, I have a model.
Yeah.
Then I export it into Rhythm. It take a while until it's all.
Fun fact: Unity only supports one channel, if I recall.
Still?
As far as I remembered.
I thought Unreal had that since like 4 point something.
Yeah, but I said Unity.
I said Unity.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like Unity still doesn't have it, but Unreal has had it for like 7 years.
Then I can change here something like...
Brooks has had it for like 15.
And then I press this button. And here's the monkey then, but it's a bit... Yeah, wait. So you would have like something like this. It's completely unwrapped now. And yeah, I could import this into Blender again and could assign a material.
Okay, so if I implement XAtlas or something or some other UV unwrapping library, do you think it'll be good for like? There might be some situations where we have to go back and do something special, but do you think that will be good for like 90% of the models that we make?
I would say.
I think the models which we make are pretty simple. Yeah. Could work, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Anthony has been playing with it. I think it'll be good. Maybe not 90, but like 85% maybe. But just to be a little cautious, but.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not doing anything super complicated models, it should be okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, mostly what people want, like, is like garbage props, pretty much. Like, oh, I don't want to model a soap box or something, or I don't want to model like a shampoo bottle. Like
I mean, considering the fact that most of those really complex models, you're going to be UV unwrapping yourself by hand anyways, like characters.
Right.
So
like characters and gameplay props.
Got another question, Josh.
Yeah.
Is there any way when you're in the editor and you've got, you're far enough along into your level where it's pretty much plasticized and you're like, well, I need a big prop, but it's going to be big and it's going to fit around things. Like, let's say you want to make a complex pipe that's going around a hallway and on a couple different turns, just for argument's sake. Is there any way that you can block out, like Greybox, some kind of primitive object within Ultra Engine and then export that as a GLB so that your model creator can bring that in as a template for a size scale comparison?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing here. You can see these
I can't see anything.
Well, these am I not streaming?
No, you're not streaming right now.
Well, use your imagination.
Okay.
I see it.
Yeah.
So these beams here, that's exactly what I did, and then I'm just gonna export these to GLTF and then import them and use that as a guide for the sizing.
Yeah. We do have an extension that exports the entire map as a GLTF, but we don't have selection export as a GLTF.
Yeah, we can add that pretty easily. Just make an export selected dialog. Oh, by the way, we also I used Klepto's improved bloom technique, bloom shaders in his post-processing effects pack, and that's why our bloom looks really good.
Yep.
It's very, very nice.
Yeah,
Should have got an up-close shot of these lights.
Yeah. Well, Josh and I did a call earlier this week, and he was like, "Oh, stack these shaders," and it just took it like to the next level. Like, we don't need a lens flare. I think that's like the only entity not being ported to Ultra Engine is the lens flare class from Leadworks.
I think just having good bloom looks better since it conforms to the shape.
That's what I mean. Also, lens flares were difficult to deal with anyway.
So, yeah, this is actually the first week. Fish, thank you for joining us. I think this is the first week he's been here. I'm in streamer mode, so I can't see who this Leaf person is that starts with J.
Because you're last week.
James W. Harden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, welcome. And then Patches, or is he? Are you new here? Looks like he's a fan of Stalker, maybe.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, I wasn't. I didn't come here because I was a fan of Stalker, but I came here like I just got the engine on Steam a couple weeks ago, and I haven't really done anything with it.
Well, welcome.
But I saw that it has like CSG mapping, which is something I really miss when I'm playing with Unity or Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just guessed you like Stalker because of your profile picture. Is that Strelok or?
No, actually, now I think about it, from a distance, does look like Strelok Slav squatting. No, it's Patches from Elden Ring, I think. The Elden Ring Patches.
Oh, okay.
Question, Josh. So, do we have any way in the C++ at least to manipulate mesh data?
Yeah. There's a whole API for like moving vertices, and you can do all that dynamically.
What I was planning on doing was be able to like cut a mesh for glass so that I can have it in parts when you shoot it, and then like extrude it afterwards.
Yeah, that's how I do all the. Actually, that's how I do all the like modeling tools in the editor.
Right.
As far as me, I'm using LeadWork 4.6 currently. Still operating, making my game, but eventually I do have Ultra Engine Pro on a working computer. That's my wife, which I will convert everything to once we're at a full version of 1.00. But I'm fully capable in programming and game design.
Awesome. What kind of game are you making?
Oh, it's just a basic adventure game where you actually, it's sword play, magic, but it's very simple. Instead of you becoming the crafter for blacksmith, etc., you actually gotta go to like the Arcanist in order to get the potions, etc., created. But your thing is you take up the quest to do the actual whatever is needed within the area in order to accomplish to get paid, so that you can actually afford the different items within the game.
Cool. Do you have a name for it yet?
Right now, the only thing I got is Harden's Enterprise. That's going to be the release company name, but it's not a company, it's just me. But as far as the name of the game, I'm not made an absolute, because it's going to have a lot of stages to it and a lot of loading screens from where you leave one area and go to another area and gather things so that you can take it back to, as an example, to the blacksmith and request, because you're providing the material, that the item be made at a lower cost. But the actual, where you don't need a gold sink, everything is controlled from the top down. There's not a quest unless there's actual gold to be paid to you.
Okay, sounds interesting. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for screenshots and stuff when it starts when you start uploading stuff, that'll be cool.
Oh, I've been given screenshots, but they're the simple models. Like I said, I'm not working in Ultra Engine yet, but I've come from another engine that's open source. I will give the message to Josh which engine that is, but it is an open source game, but there's no support to it. So I went to LeadWork to Ultra Engine. So I'm actually converting things from the old engine into Ultra Engine in order to make it work.
Okay, sounds cool.
All right, I've got to go for now, Josh. But nice talking. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining. Do we have any other questions or anything about?
So what's the plan for this week? I guess since now you want this to be out.
Well, we got to get this thing done. So other than, let's see.
If I could ask, what are your goals for this release? For this, what you're making? Not the release of the engine, but with this creative work.
This example?
Yes.
Just provide you guys with something that looks good and feels like a game.
Yeah, and there's gonna be like some component stuff with first-person weapons and monsters and just basics. Again, we wanted it to have like a little bit of everything, but because of like the scope of the project, we're not like we're not gonna we're probably not gonna showcase too much of platforms or complicated or sophisticated component structures. You're just gonna be some guy running around with a gun and you're just gonna shoot from behind.
Yeah, violence. I mean, like with everything that I've done in the past, we saw a lot of reuse of all the first person stuff that Leadworks had. That got a lot of reuse. I mean,
okay.
So I think it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, with that in mind, like it seemed to make more sense to put more effort into something that looks good. Because
is there any particular feature that you want to showcase for Ultra Engine? Is there something that you want? Like, is it like the visual, or is it
material painting?
Material painting
and the tessellation, yeah.
Okay.
Which you can see both right here.
I will place a screenshot later of all the different characters and the different colors, so you can actually see that it is a massive number of things that is going to be, as far as mobs within the community, that people or the quests will be given to you in order to get rid of.
Okay, cool. We've got the screenshots section here on Discord and also on the website at ultraengine.com. There's also the user gallery where you can upload images.
Should I block out the original engine name, or or have the engine name so that everyone can refer to where I originally programmed it?
It's okay. I mean, I'm not worried about that.
I'm just concerned I'd be frowned on, even though it's an open source game, that they would. I don't want you to lose any support because you worked hard on your engine. I'm just trying to get a feel of, should I include the engine because I've already given you a message what that engine is, or just a picture of the image of what's displayed.
I don't think it matters. I don't think anybody's going to get upset. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not worried.
I just want to keep everything neutral so that you maintain your support.
No, I don't. I mean, no, I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, I just want to ask before I do something and then be frowned on.
No, we're not like, yeah. It's fine. Other game engines exist, and we have our own, unique advantages. So I'm not too concerned.
Okay, I will do the screen and have it as soon as this is streaming is over, so everyone can look at it.
Cool. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess, okay, I definitely want the gun to shoot bullets, and because the trial version... We're also going to have the trial version released sometime around January 9th. Even though it's early access, I think it's... I really want that monster in there. I want to be able to kill the monster. So the simplest... At its simplest, I could see, you get down this tunnel, and then you hear something roar behind you, and then the monster's running at you. Or something, I don't know. There's one more little area I want to put at the end of this tunnel. And we have a crashed boxcar model that I want to try to see if we can seal off the end of this tunnel with a train wreck and a bunch of junk. I want to try that at least. That's pretty much it. And so 2 weeks to implement those the ballistics for that, I think, is fine. It's just we don't have a lot of time to go back and second guess everything. So if something's let's not. If you want to make some changes to the lighting, that's fine, but let's not start redesigning rooms at this point, because I think what we have right now is good. It's fine.
I had to redesign the other room because it was when do you see trains that's not subway in the subway station? That really bothered me.
Yeah. I think it'll be fine though. So before I end the video, do we have any other questions? All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining this week. And this video will be available on YouTube in a little bit. I'm going to stop it now.